Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for your presence. I would like to welcome you to the webinar Autonomous Driving Technologies, organized jointly by the PSPA and the Embassy of Israel in Poland. There are four megatrends in the automotive sector today, often referred to as case mobility: connected, autonomous, shared, electric. Combination of those four megatrends is a symbol of an approaching revolution which will forever change our perception of mobility, our habits, our customs, and in effect, our way of life. Why this is so important? It's important because it's already happening. Connected vehicles are already a reality. Looking at the state of autonomous vehicles at the start of the 2020s, we can see that impressive milestones have been achieved. Still, there are some very big challenges to face, obviously. Autonomous vehicles are getting more and more popular, for example, in public transportation, here in Poland as well. Car sharing is on a rise. In Warsaw, we implemented one of the largest projects. 500 BMW i3s are driving around as a part of the InnoGo project. Electric vehicles will pave our future. COVID-19 crisis will even accelerate this shift. As PSPA, industry organization in Poland focused on shaping and promoting the new mobility market, we are fully aware that the change is coming, or better to say, already happening. We are more than sure that the cars of tomorrow will be electric and self-driving. What we are trying to do here in Poland is to be well prepared for this change. We strongly believe that as a country, as Polish cities, as companies doing business here in Poland, we can all benefit from the case mobility. The most crucial point is to find a proper partner. That's why I am so glad that we have such a partner, Embassy of Israel in Poland. The Israeli innovation ecosystem is one of the most mature technology hubs worldwide. And one of the most notable success stories is Mobileye, developer of computer vision used for autonomous driving, which was acquired by Intel a couple of years ago for more than $15 billion. Let me say at the end how grateful I am for having a chance to co-organize this webinar with the Embassy of Israel. It was a great pleasure to work together. Thank you especially Sarah and Maddie. I'm sure that it's just the first of many, many events and projects that we'll organize together. We had some very interesting and ambitious plans before COVID-19. We had to adapt to the current situation, but still I'm more than sure that it's going to be a long and fruitful cooperation for both parties, as well for our members and partners. Thank you to our excellent guests, Piotr Arak, Daniel Zucker, Gabi Kamiński, Miki Ayalon, and Alexander Reich. I would like to thank, last but not least, all people for the work they put into the preparation of this webinar. Here in particular, I would like to thank Marcin Woźniak from PSPA. Good job, Marcin. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. I wish us all a fruitful meeting. Sarah Ann, the floor right now is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maciej. Dzień dobry, witamy, good morning, and welcome everyone. Maciej almost said it all, but us at the Trade Mission in the Embassy of Israel are very happy to put this event together with the PSPA because we both believe that the time is right for a revolution in transportation. Full automation in transportation will definitely help avoid accidents, save lives, and reduce costs. It is estimated that autonomous vehicles will be worth of almost $560 billion within the next 6 years. And we'll hear more about it from Mr. Piotr Arak. Today, we will introduce 3 layers of how we in Israel promote the smart mobility. So one will have a representative from the Prime Minister office on implementation in the market, and also the way Tel Aviv, a smart city, is implementing a lot of Israeli technologies in smart cities and smart mobility. And of course, as Maciej said, Mobileye, who's a global leader in autonomous vehicles. Us at the Trade Mission, we are here to help you and assist, introduce more innovations, Israeli innovations in the fields of smart city and smart mobility. So I invite you all to join us and approach us to find out more about what we have in Israel. A great thanks to Maciej Mazur and all the PSPA team for this amazing event. I'm sure that our partnership will yet grow and will together promote autonomous vehicles and in general smart mobility, both in Poland and Israel. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy today.
Part of today's webinar, and here is Alexander Reich, the chief expert of Polish Alternative Fuels Association, with the first of the presentations. Alexander?
Yes, I'm here. Hi. Yes. Can everyone hear me? Okay, I hope everyone can hear me. Okay, so today, my name is Alexander Reich. I'm the chief expert of PSPA. Thank you for the information that you can hear me. We will delve into the intricacies of the autonomous revolution of the transport sector together. Just to reiterate of what was already said, we are one of the most significant organizations in our area, having more than 100 members, now nearing on 120 at this moment. Members who really help us in our pursuit of our goal to introduce new mobility and sustainable transport and the new economy as a natural component. We have members from one of the pillars, I guess, of this process, the automotive sector. As you can see, the brands here speak for themselves, from Volkswagen to Daimler to Renault to Porsche and Seat. We have as well, we cooperate with companies that represent the energy sector, another vital component of what we do, from ABB to our Polish partners, PG, to our oil and resources partners, Orlen, PG&IG, all the way through financial companies, FMCG representatives, and everyone who contributes to the value chain of new mobility, as we like to call it. But that's also that's not only business and the corporate side. We also cooperate with municipalities, cities, our local authority partners. And as you see from the selected portfolio here, we really try to be everywhere in Poland at this moment, raising awareness, promoting knowledge, gathering partners together to develop new mobility and sustainable transport. As you see from Warsaw through Lublin to Kielce to Częstochowa, Kraków, Poznań, we really try to be everywhere with the knowledge that we represent. We wouldn't be able to do that, of course, without the institutional support of the ministries like the Ministry of Climate or Development in Poland, institutional partners, and universities and academics who support our ventures and efforts here. PSPA now relies on 4 pillars. One of the main and most important today, I guess, the Competence Center, because within this pillar, we co-host this webinar. We also rely on our legislative center, the place where the best regulation and law is shaped in order to host this business innovation development that is occurring and taking place, and all the solutions that are to come. The Research and Analysis Center, of course, the source of all this knowledge, solution, research and analysis that we give to the market. And the New Mobility Center, our hub of information and knowledge, and our headquarters here in Warsaw, which, of course, you are all welcome to visit. Our brands are the projects, strategic projects that we invest our time and efforts in, from a huge promotional and awareness building campaign, through our events, through our reports, comparative and TCO analysis, all the way through ORPA, the Alternative Fuel Market Observatory, the largest information and knowledge portal, fully aggregated and ran by us, operated by us. So we do all this to pursue the revolution of new mobility. And I guess we decided today that this new mobility revolution resides in four main global trends. The first one being e-mobility. Of course, this is an area we focus on largely, and through this, I also mean, e-mobility in practice is one of the wide array of activities that we do in order to raise the awareness and knowledge on e-mobility. This was a project that entailed 30 different training sessions for local authorities, showing EVs, showing infrastructure, but also providing knowledge from market practitioners and experts for all the local authorities to meet and to promote the obligations of the law on e-mobility on alternative fuels in Poland. Digitalization. We involve ourselves and engage ourselves in many TCO and comparative pilot projects, some of them concerning utility vehicles, as you see here, but again, to promote and provide knowledge both for academics and business, as well as to shape adequate legislation in the future. The third tier, excuse me, I'll just take a sip. The third tier, mobility as a service, something that is often viewed as an event of the future, which is already here and is already necessary, and we deem it natural. One of the many ventures that we take to promote and implement such solutions is our white paper on e-mobility, a huge process that is aimed at making a good legal environment to host the business and innovation of the future. And of course, autonomization, today's main issue and main topic. The interesting thing is that we are hosting this webinar and co-hosting this webinar, and thank you for attending it. But this is not the first time we address this issue, and this is not the first moment. We've hosted the Mobility City event last year, downtown Warsaw. We were showing all the attendees the Renault Easy Go and all the new solution and innovation that is already there and available. And we think that everybody should be aware of this availability and of the state of technology we're already in. To confirm my words, we decided to present the timeline of autonomous driving technology. And what is interesting is we're already nearing on a 100-year anniversary of this process, of this technology. This is not really that new that we're speaking about this technology. And you can see from the American Wonder radio-controlled car all the way through 2003 how many things have happened. With, I think, one of the things I'd like to focus on, the Eureka Prometheus project, which shows you the enormous effort put into the topic of autonomous driving, the entities engaged, the institutional engagement, the budgets, the span of how long this research project took place. And that was already in 1987, more than 30 years ago. So many things have happened since, but of course, the observation of what is occurring globally with the environment, with the urban areas, accelerated the process in recent years, as well as, of course, the availability of the adequate technology. Just to mention a few, the 2015 introduction of the autopilot by Tesla. This is, of course, in cooperation with Mobileye. So an important step. 2018, so more recent. I mean, we already have autonomous fleets, vehicles in Israel, 30 million kilometers covered by autonomous vehicles. These are huge steps, and we're really nearing on a situation that is very necessary and should be expected by the market. Now, for all the experts here, of course, this will be very common knowledge, but since we emphasize the fact that we'd like to spread knowledge and promote knowledge and awareness, we just have to start from this. So there's a 6-level scale introduced by SA International, which shows, or not really shows, but represents the phases of development in terms of automated driving. From the 0 level, where we have blind spot sensors and lane change sensors, so very basic stuff, and still humans really taking over and controlling the car, through lane keeping assist systems and adaptive cruise control systems, either spread or shared or joined together, through autonomous traffic jam driving systems, all the way to 4 and 5, where we're at a level that not only you don't have to drive the car, but you don't really have to own it. There is a robot taxi taking you from wherever you need to wherever you need safely and at a low cost. Why are we talking about this amongst the many reasons that we are? Well, it's a huge potential. The market has an enormous perspective. And I think this slide shows this vividly. We're at a level when in 5 years, there will be 1 million autonomous vehicles sold in the world. And in 2040, over 33 million. I mean, these numbers really show where we're at and where we're going to be, what goals we're pursuing. And the value amount, the currency amount at the bottom also shows you where we're going to be once we reach those highest levels, those highest SAE international levels, and how many cars will be sold per each particular market in 2040. So a huge perspective, a huge potential, and goals that need to be achieved. Of course, autonomous driving technology brings along the benefits and advantages that are partly known but need to be emphasized, because again, we would like for this to be a natural expectation. Why? Well, first of all, safety. This is a technology that brings along safer roads, safer traveling, and the possibility for everyone to travel safely where they need to go and travel fast and reduce their carbon footprint. But also many advantages for the economy. First of all, new jobs, new technology production, but also lighter cities, lighter urban areas, less traffic, less movement, and an easier space to live and operate in. We chose to focus on the two main areas of our activities amongst the numerous and assorted projects that I already listed and signalized in the slides before. Legislation we consider as a very important priority because usually law has to catch up to the technology and innovation that is brought along by business and science. We really try to balance this process out in our numerous efforts, because getting from these phases, SAE international phases 2, 3, 4, to the most advanced ones, really needs a very succinct and detailed regulation environment to host these business developments. And one of the projects that we have ongoing, the white paper on electromobility, entails this philosophy. We're trying to make recommendations and proposals for the legislators to come along, take and implement, and make the business a much facilitated environment to operate in. Of course, another step to take is to make this law very legible. This is a huge priority for us because this is often a problem with regulations. They're being shaped in a way that even when they exist, some of the market is not aware of that fact because they're so not easily understandable. The recommendations we're trying to shape, along with our partners, scientific academic partners, our corporate business partners, our innovators, we're trying to make these regulations as easy to read as possible. And here you see some of the examples: taxes and tariffs, the law on public infrastructure, and many more that we discuss in our white paper on e-mobility sessions. Of course, legislation is one of the pillars. The other pillars are the institutional and academic pillar and the business innovator pillar. Our role is to bring all of them together to really create this development environment and to make it a robust process. We wouldn't be able to do this if we wouldn't be able to build an expectation for this process, to build an expectation, a public expectation for everyone to think that this should be natural. Because often autonomous driving technologies are viewed as something in the very far future, as something not yet attainable. We want everyone, the public opinion, to be fully aware of what we already have, of the technologies that are already available, and to brush away all the myths, the disinformation, and the stereotypes regarding self-driving vehicles. They're all present, unfortunately, and we're working very hard to make everyone aware of the technology, the innovation that is available. And the selected reports on this slide also show how much we're doing. All these are available publicly, and we try to spread this knowledge at a level that is succinct, substantial, and with the support of our partners, both from the administrative side as well as from the market side. I don't want to take too much of your time because we have immensely interesting presentations ahead. So I thank you for your attention, and Back to you, Jacek.
Economic Institute with his address on autonomous transport of the future. Mr. Arak, the floor is yours.
You can't hear me. Okay.
Oh, right now it's much better. Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't click on the mute. I didn't unmute myself. So sorry for that. Lovely to be here. It's always difficult to organize those webinar sessions with people around the world. We have many issues connected with connecting people from China to the United States, and also having a stable connection during the whole process. So kudos to the organizers, because I know how difficult this is, although we are not at the same room. We, as the Polish Economic Institute, are a think tank working for the Polish government, providing advice on the state of the economy. What I can tell you is that we work currently 7 days a week, almost 24 hours a day. Because of the economic turmoil caused by the COVID-19. But before that, before the pandemic, we worked on many projects. And one of them was creating a policy paper with the Ministry of Infrastructure on autonomous vehicles, and how the transport is going to, this rapid change that we're seeing is going to change the Polish driving experience, but not only driving. And this is what I'm going to talk about a little bit further. So we talked that, and we heard that before in the presentations that were said, how transport is rapidly changing. We can see that. It's even rapid, the change is even more rapid because we have more people not buying cars currently. So the drop of the new purchases of cars, and especially in Europe and in the United States, was in some of the months 90 something percent. Almost nobody bought new cars. We could each production plant could give them, their individual numbers basically, and sell them as a limited series if they were produced in April of 2020. Nevertheless, the long-term or medium-term changes to the autonomous cars production is going to stay with us. And this is going to affect every mode of transportation. So not only the cars. We have autonomous subway trains running in various cities as Budapest and London. We have also unmanned air vehicles, drones, which are now popular devices for professionals and amateurs, but sometimes also can use autonomous technology. We have airplanes and airlines using autopilots. And if someone knows something about flying, then he knows that the typical workday of a pilot is basically sleeping nowadays, only controlling the machine during takeoff and landing. We have the rapid development of this technology, which is possible due to machine learning. This is the basic deployment of artificial intelligence, which is basically advanced coding. So I'm not that keen of talking about AI to something which cannot smell, talk, but can analyze vast amounts of data. Before that, we also had some possibilities of autonomous transportation based on the gyroscope, which keeps playing on its course. We had simple sensors in the subways, which also were semi-autonomous, and they didn't have any of those gizmos that we have today. Nevertheless, since 2011, we see a vast amount of new patents pending on machine learning used in transport, and this grows by a third each year. So we know that many companies are investing huge amounts of money and also R&D in order to get more data and more new and advanced technologies. We have big players as Alphabet. We have the Tesla car company, which invests quite a lot in this technology. And the global automated vehicle market is predicted to be valued at $560 billion in 2026. The problem is we prepared this paper before the pandemic, and the question is if we're going to have a good 2021 and 2022 in order to get ahead of this recession that we're currently in. But I'll now focus more about Poland, because this is, our main concern connected with the autonomous cars. The Polish automated transport initiatives are now mostly developed on a very local level by the self-governments or local governments. For example, the Rzeszów city plans automated buses. Kraków tests automated trams. Jaworzno maps city streets for automated cars. On the government level, at the Ministry of Infrastructure, there is a project on Polish route to car automation, so to provide a blueprint for this process, to create a legal framework for automated cars. So our paper, together with the ministry, was actually one of the first semi-legal approaches, and this is an analytical piece. Or someone's here writing about the Gdańsk autonomous bus pilot too. So I'm not going to talk about everything. There's also a very interesting project which we are very interested in because of our drone basic interest, is the Central European Drone Demonstrator, led by the Ministry of Infrastructure in cooperation with the Silesian metropolis. And one of its goals is to create an infrastructure of automated drones testing in Sławków, so in Silesia. What we see is that using automated car traffic could lead, and many people talk about it before, to lots of savings and gains both on public and private sectors. First of all, road safety. So we can drop the costs of death. We saw during pandemic that in a lot of countries, and especially Poland is one of those interesting countries where we saw a drop of the death toll because of the pandemic. So we didn't have any, we did an econometric analysis. One of our health economists did that. So we didn't see additional deaths because of COVID-19 and in our country. And one of the reasons for that, it was because people were driving less. So they didn't die because of car crashes and car accidents. So if we had full autonomous car traffic, then we would see a benefit of 50 billion Polish zloty saved for the Polish private and public life. Since the level 5 automation, the full automation, is quite a distant perspective, I would say, still for our country mainly. The more realistic savings are approximately 3.8 billion Polish zloty through trucks automation. So if we have lorries with semi-autonomous driving, we could also save 2 billion Polish zloty for the logistics sector from lower labor costs, and approximately 400 million Polish zloty a year from lower material consumption. And this is especially important because Poland is quite developed in the logistics sector and transportation. It's one of the leading sectors for the Polish economy. And currently, this sector is in crisis, of course, because of the pandemic. So if we have no international exchange of value of goods, then there's the difficulty of having earnings in a transport business. But hopefully the transports and import and exports are going to grow. We saw that in May. We're not still at the same level as at the beginning of this year, but hopefully this will grow. But the transport sector typically has a very important problem in our country, and this is the lack of drivers. We have different estimates by the tracking organizations, and we know that approximately 100,000 people are needed in this sector. So currently, more and more Ukrainians are being employed by this branch of economy. And if we had semi-autonomous driving, then probably a lot of savings and prosperous possibilities of development for this sector would be possible. So this is something I would say that many of these companies would be looking forward. Actually, those who are looking forward to the autonomy, not seeing this as a basic threat because we don't have enough drivers at this point. There are also another ways of optimization. We have higher efficiency in existing economy sectors, new business models based on data from automated cars, and new sectors of industry producing parts for autonomous vehicles and new modes of transportation. The global car data market in 2030, according to McKinsey, is going to be worth 450-750 billion US dollars, depending on the scenario. The most important determinants of expansion of this sector in economic ways is the developing of sensor technology, making the LiDAR sensors cheaper and improving sensor fusion, development of the fast mobile technology, especially 5G, which is in deployment in many European countries in this year or is going to be passed for next year due to the pandemic. Data analysis and cybersecurity. Because this means a lot of connected transports and a lot of communication between vehicles and vehicles to infrastructure, this also means that each car is probably going to have approximately 10 terabytes in forms of videos collected per hour. This is a huge stock of data generated, which will generate a lot of pressure on clouds and the computer memories that we have available right now. We saw that, for example, the European Commission wanted Netflix to slow down the bandwidth of usage for the people staying at home during the COVID-19 lockdown. And with this additional information needed, there's a lot of new infrastructure that we don't still have in place for this technology to be used properly. So it's not only like in the case of the electric cars where we need charging stations, but it also means a lot of new and different sectors being developed for the automated cars to be used properly. Another conditions of technology, of this technology being implemented, is the legal framework, which Maciej Mazur talked about at the beginning, testing and implementing road infrastructure, standardization, very important in order to have, cars being being possible to be used in different countries in the European Union. Most of the autonomous technologies are being now developed in the United States, where regulations enable driverless vehicles. Testing on public roads is possible after certification and consultations with citizens in our country. So within the Electromobility Act, which many of the peoples here are quite accustomed to, this testing of cars, autonomous cars, is possible. But the more important debate then within Poland is going to be on the European level. In case of the autonomous car regulation, because of the standards needed of the exchange of information. That's why the Ministry of Infrastructure and the Ministry of Digital Affairs, of the digitization, needs to work together on many things that are up to this moment treated as separate. So AI, data protection were not the most important matters to the Ministry of Infrastructure in Poland, and currently they have to be. And this is something answering one of the questions I see, what is truly being done at this moment from the in the general perspective. What we did is we created a first paper, which is a report. So this is not a legislative branch. Not the legislative document. We have in one of the laws, the Electromobility Act, one of the first possibilities to test autonomous vehicles. We have the CED for drones and autonomous drones being used in Jaworzno, and I said most of the initiatives now are on the local level. The next step is going to be a blueprint for the development of regulations, but with cooperation with Brussels. Each member state in the European Union sees now the need of standardization. And this is going to be the most important issue for every country to have in order to develop autonomous driving. Because this future is still very uncertain. It's clear that we have autonomous technologies that are going to play a bigger role in modern cars. They are going to be more smart, more automated. There is still a very high level of uncertainty if driverless cars truly are going to be a realistic plan. Full automation of city traffic is extremely difficult to achieve. Even though big companies in the United States invest in this solution, the proper infrastructure, the proper sensors is going to be very difficult to be implemented in each city that we live in. What is probably going to be the fastest, and this is what the Polish authorities are truly looking into, is the freight transport, the lorries, which could be semi-automated and interstate or interregional or intercountry connections of road transport, which could be semi-automated faster, and because of the savings in the logistics sector and the challenges of having enough drivers basically for this sector in Europe and especially for Poland. And since the Polish companies, and I'm not talking about only transport sector, are quite small and compete on low cost, the emergence of new technologies can lead to a lot of modernization, as well as to failing to bigger companies which are going to become competition from abroad. This is what we don't want to have. But the difficult and for me and most important question is how the autonomous car idea is going to develop in the post-pandemic years. What kind of stimuli for the automotive sector overall the European governments are going to introduce, because we're going this sector was very hardly hit by hit very hard by the pandemic, and this is going to be very difficult for those companies to truly develop in our continent in the next years. And there is a very good question in saying if it's going to be a catalyst of development, or is it going to slow down the process of adaptation to this technology, because now we need a lot of money in order to sustain the current level of development and not to have it to develop even faster. Thank you very much.
Initiatives, current status, and your insight on the autonomous transportation from the general economy perspective. And now let's move to another element of our agenda and find out what is the Israel way, how Israel pushes the smart mobility for implementation. And I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Daniel Zucker, the head of local market implementation smart mobility initiative in Prime Minister office. Mr. Zucker, the floor is yours. Please have a little patience. We're in the process. Give us a moment or two to connect Mr. Zucker. We are in the halfway through to make that happen. I can see the video window appearing. Hello, Mr. Zucker. I hope you can. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Great. Sorry for that. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very happy to be with you online, although I really hope that I'll be able to come and visit you in Poland as well. My presentation is pretty short, and I'll try to briefly explain you about the Israeli perspective regarding smart mobility and regarding autonomous vehicles specifically. So I'll start by saying that my name is Daniel Zucker. I'm head of local market implementation at the Smart Mobility Initiative at the Israeli Prime Minister's office. The initiative was formed 9 years ago under the Israeli Prime Ministers, and it has three main goals. The first main goal is to turn Israel into a center of knowledge and know-how in the field of smart mobility. And this is the most important goal, and it's trying to really make Israel as a center for the world. The second goal is to implement those good practices and good solutions in the Israeli market, because we believe, as my colleagues already said here, that it's going to benefit the world as a whole. The third goal is to raise the world's awareness and to collaborate with different organizations and countries in order to create the change we want to see in the world. Happily, I would say that we can see, and this graph and the next three slides will explain how Israel has become a center for the world in that regard. And in this graph, you can see the cumulative capital raised by Israeli startups in the last 3 years. That's in millions of US dollars. And as you can see, till June 2020, we have reached something like 5 billion US dollars in cumulative capital raised by Israeli mobility startups. I believe Israel is the second center in the world, only second to the Silicon Valley, in the number of startups that we have. We have something like 400 startups in the smart mobility arena. The next slide is, so we have talked about investments, and here we see that we have not only investments in Israeli startups, but many Israeli startups have been bought by multinational companies. So you probably all heard about Waze. This is the first company that was bought by Google back in 2013. Harman, that was later on bought by Samsung, bought three different companies. Ford bought a company, Continental, a big tier 1 company, bought as well, and Intel bought Mobileye, but I assume you heard that Intel bought Moveit as well, like three months ago. The third thing that we see in the Israeli market is the multinational, growing presence of multinational companies in Israel. And this is something that is a bit different than Poland. You need to understand that Israel was never a center of automotive industry. We don't have any manufacturing capabilities in Israel. I mean, we always imported our vehicles. And in the last 10 years, we see a growing presence of multinationals, and it shows that automotive industry and mobility industry see Israel as a center. And I would say that most of them are starting by doing some technology scouting. So you can see the list of OEMs and tier 1s that are doing scouting in Israel. Later on, the next stage is to do a local investment. And the most advanced thing to do is to really open a local research and development center in Israel, and to utilize the Israeli advantages that we have to offer. How did we do that? So how Israel has become in 9 years a center for the world in the fields of smart mobility and fuel alternatives. The way we did it, our program, is to invest throughout 10 years, to invest money and to give tools throughout all the process of making innovation, from basic and applied research, as you can see, and this is means that we gave tools and money to the universities. Later on, we gave tools and specific programs for universities to collaborate with multinationals and with companies to transfer knowledge from the university to the companies. The next thing that we did, upper in the knowledge transfer, was to build a community of startups and entrepreneurs. And we have very big, something like 7,000 community members in Israel. So it's very easy to get to know each other. It's very easy to access the knowledge. It's very easy for young entrepreneurs to understand where they need to get the money from, how they can do it, to meet with their colleagues, etc., etc. Later on, we had a first accelerator, a governmental accelerator for startups in smart mobility, and we helped them raising capital as well. The next stage was to establish 2 different pilot programs. One is energy and transportation, something like 40 different projects since then were subsidized by this project. And the second pilot program is in smart transportation. Until now, something like 12 different pilots were financed by this program. So this is how we built the entire funnel from basic research till scale up of technologies, and gave tools and money for the industry. The next thing that we did, and this was only a